It's really tough for me personally to go from that Trevin Jones fight and Ronnie Lawrence to this one, but I'm going to do my best to actually make you guys excited about this, and I think there's reasons to get into it. We got Jinh Frey against Ashley Yoder, and now we got two girls at very different junctures of their careers, right? Ashley Yoder, tough alumni, had so many opportunities to really excel in the UFC, fought Angela Hill for the second time in her last bout, and then you have a fighter like Jinh Frey who, just so well noted for her, dedication to the craft and being a longtime veteran of women's MMA, getting her UFC kind of stint this late in her career. It's just so crazy to think that she went 0-2 against fighters like Kay Hansen and Loma Luke Bunmi with what I think it was her husband or it's like her family in her corner to now Fortis MMA. Now you want to talk about the DePaula fight, who we're actually going to get to watch a little later on the card. That was a completely different fighter. She always looked athletic. She always had a nice build to her. But that was a fighter with a game plan and with different areas of MMA to execute that said game plan. I really liked the way she tried to wear her down in the second, see if she was able to strike with her, almost like it was practice for her. Because in the first and third rounds, you saw Jinh Frey really secure those rounds with takedowns. And it was very easy. You talk about her having basically 10 minutes of control time. The moment she got a takedown within the first 30 seconds to a minute of the round, first and third, she controlled it the entire fight from there. So it didn't look like it was as easy for her in the second round. And DePaula probably took that round, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's just funny to see that immediately with the third round, takes it right back to the ground and wins the fight pretty clearly. And so it's things like that that make me really happy for, the Fortis MMA switch and seeing her excel in those areas where game plans, technique, the skill that she needed in all those rounds to really execute what was not only defense, but a good offense was really fun to see because of what we had seen in the past where she was just so defensive and had to kind of ward off the evils versus really kind of doing some of her own damage. And then we talk about a fighter like Ashley Yoder. Now, she got the fight, like we said, Angela Hill for a second time, but you kind of saw the same things from her. And Angela Hill looked even less scared of getting into those close areas where the clinches and stuff like that could happen because she was able to work in some of her own takedowns. I think that Angela Hill kind of made the right strides in her game since then to become a very elite potential fighter. And Ashley has a lot of work to do in that striking game. I think that she's able to take a lot of punches. The durability's there, but when you're getting pushed back with punches and when you don't even seem willing to put your hands up and do some of your own striking to combat those combos, it's hard to see you winning that fight unless you're able to get it to the ground completely. And you talk about the way she loves those, head and arm positions to kind of get those fights to the ground, up against the fence, all that type of stuff. I just think that unless she gets in the clinch and unless she's against the fence, the offense is very tough to see. And so despite all the defense and the durability, it's just, I'm not finding the areas for her to really execute this. And Jinh Frey's now going in with an 83% takedown defense that makes this a very tough fight for Yoder. I think that her jiu-jitsu is going to be a huge part in this. And so we talk about keys to victory, right? I think Jinh can actually finally have success on the feet. I think that she showed that she can at least land some good blows. DePaula's kind of throwing straight up the middle, but then you have, these looping style strikers that kind of come in. And, I think that Jinh can actually try that style in this fight. I think that there's opportunities there for her to keep the fight standing, land big, even if it's those big looping hooks. She doesn't have to be so fearful on the ground, I think. Outside of that BJJ scare and being on the bottom, I think that she's going to have the defense to keep Yoder at bay, to be able to use strikes, do damage, because Yoder also seems to get frustrated in fights. And so I think for her, the main key to victory is, it reminds me of Mickey Gall, right? If the striking is getting better, she's an exponentially better fighter because her ground game is sublime, but her ability to get it there seems to need work. But her biggest issue is the striking overall. So better striker for sure, more techniques and be able to get the fight to the ground. You're looking at someone that could very much pull off a much needed win here. And I think that this is the fight for her to do it. Now, much easier said than done, in my opinion, because I think that Yoder has a lot of work to do in a fight like this. And unless she's made those necessary changes in the time that we've not seen her, then we can at least give her some bump in that. And so we talk about the lines and stuff like that. It's just really difficult for me not to give Jinh Frey the favorite here. I just think that she's proven so much in even the 1-2 UFC record that we've seen her in versus Yoder, who seems to not be making those giant strides in her career, similar to the way Angela Hill did since the first fight of theirs leading to the second. But the one thing I want to give Yoder a lot of credit on is just the level of competition she's fought. She's really good at grinding out these fights. And like I said, if she's able to tire out Jinh and really work in some of that clinch work up against the fence, I think she can get this to the ground and really pose some problems with that black belt. But outside of that, I'm going with a borderline pick'em, but Jinh coming in as a -130, -125 type of favorite. So let's take a look. All right, it's actually that line, but reversed. It looks like Ashley Yoder's coming in as a -140 favorite here, with Jinh as a +120 dog, but that's actually moving. You're seeing the lines kind of get closer to the -120, -130. Betway's still kind of deciding where they want to do things, but outside of that, I see an average of about -130 here, with a high of -150 and a low of about -126 for Ashley. But Jin's pretty much hovering over that +110 line, looking like this is going to close in as a pick'em. But that's what the line movement says. Who knows what we're all going to say over the next 3 or 4 days. Should be a fun one. I think it's going to set up both their UFC careers in a big way with a win. So let's hope for the best and enjoy the fight.